Welcome back to the Missions Connect Deep Dive.
Good to be here.
So we are looking at a stack of reports today that, honestly, it feels heavier than usual. We've got the Week 8 prayer calendar, that's February 16th to the 22nd, 2026.
Right.
But under that, there's geopolitical analysis on post-Assad Syria, demographic data from Canada, and intelligence on tightening religious laws in Jordan.
Yeah.
So if you're a Missions Connect app user, you know the drill. This is your pregame show. We're here to prepare your mind, your heart for what's coming up on your daily dashboard.
Exactly. It's a heavy stack. This is a heavy week. We want to move beyond just, reading a prayer point off a screen. We want to understand the mechanics of what's happening on the ground, the political shifts, the cultural pressures, so that when you pray, you're not just reciting words. You're engaging in informed intersection.
And this week is different. We're not just looking at a place on a map. We're looking at a specific moment in time.
We really are. Tuesday, February 17th.
Yeah.
That marks the beginning of Ramadan 2026.
Which means we're also kicking off the 30 days of prayer for the Muslim world.
Right. So the intensity dial is getting turned way up.
Yeah.
But to keep things actionable, because let's be honest, looking at nearly 2 billion people can be paralyzing.
Yeah, completely.
We're triangulating this event. We're focusing on 3 very distinct groups.
Okay.
You've got the Jordanian Arabs in a hardening kingdom, the northern Kurds in a really chaotic post-regime Syria, and then, maybe surprisingly, the exploding Muslim population right in Canada.
So a stronghold, a crisis zone, and a diaspora.
Precisely. And the mission, as always, is to equip you to bless the nations through prayer, knowledge, and obedience.
Okay, let's start with the context of the week itself, Tuesday the 17th. I think most of us know the basics of Ramadan, the fasting, the prayer. But there's a specific mindset we need to understand this year, isn't there? Why is this week so critical?
So for Muslims, Ramadan isn't just about, not eating. It's the 9th month of their calendar. It's tied to the lunar cycle, so it shifts every year. And for 2026, we're looking at February 17th through about March 18th. And the theology here is that the gates of heaven are literally thrown open.
So the belief is that access to God is easier.
Easier and heavier. The belief is that prayers carry more weight in the celestial scales during this month. They're fasting from dawn to dusk. No food, no water for purification. But here's the psychological intersection that really matters for us.
Okay.
You have millions of people who are physically depleting themselves to heighten their spiritual sensitivity.
Which creates a unique vulnerability, a spiritual openness.
It does. Hunger does something to the human ego. It lowers our defenses. It exposes how frail we are. And the Missions Connect notes, they highlight this specifically. We are praying that in this moment of physical weakness and spiritual striving, they encounter the unearned grace of Jesus.
Instead of the earned favor they're working so hard for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're looking ahead to what's called Laylat al-Qadr, the Night of Power, which is later in March. They hope for revelation then. We're praying the revelation happens now, in the hunger of this first week.
Okay, let's take that spiritual atmosphere and apply it to the map. First up for the week is Jordan. And reading the country profile, Jordan feels like a contradiction.
It's a massive contradiction.
We always hear about it as the moderate ally, the quiet neighbor. But the spiritual data tells a very different story.
It does. We're focusing on the Jordanian Arabs. That's 7.7 million people, 97% of the population. And when you look for an evangelical presence, it's in a rounding error.
The stats say less than 0.3%.
So essentially, zero visible church movement. But, and this is where the deep dive gets interesting, there is a movement. It's just invisible.
The sources mention a specific number, 6,500.
Right. Intelligence estimates around 6,500 believers from Muslim backgrounds. But they are secret believers in the strictest sense of the word. This isn't just, I don't tell my coworkers because it's awkward. This is, if my family finds out, I might be killed.
Is the honor-killing threat still that prevalent, even in 2026?
Even more so now. And that brings us to the political context, which I think a lot of people missed because of all the noise coming out of Syria.
Okay.
If you look back at the Jordanian elections in September 2024, the Islamic Action Front scored a historic victory.
I remember the headlines, but I don't think anyone realized the long-term drift that would cause.
Well, we're seeing it now. Over the last 18 months, that political win has translated into social pressure. The government, trying to manage this rising conservatism, has tightened the vice.
How so?
We're seeing reports that approvals for new church buildings are effectively frozen. They're just being systematically denied.
So the moderate kingdom is becoming a harder shell.
Legally and socially, yes. The atmosphere is just. It's heavier than it was 5 years ago. The window for traditional public evangelism is closing.
Which is why the prayer focus is Jeremiah 29.13.
You will seek me and find me when you seek me with all your heart.
That makes sense. When the public doors close, we have to pray for private revelation, for dreams, for visions.
And for those 6,500 secret believers to survive that pressure cooker. They're the yeast in the dough, but they are under immense heat.
Now, if Jordan is the pressure cooker, this next region is. It's the fire. We're moving north to Syria, specifically the northern Kurds. And honestly, reading the timeline in these notes, it is just jarring to see how fast this region collapsed.
It's a tragedy of historic proportions.
Yeah.
The northern Kurds, about 2.3 million people, are already one of the largest stateless ethnic groups in the world.
Right.
They've been caught in the middle for decades. But the fall of the Assad regime in December 2024, that changed the game entirely.
That was the geopolitical shock of the decade. But looking at the source material, the outcome wasn't freedom in the way the West was maybe hoping for.
No, not at all. For the minorities, especially the Kurds and the Christians, what replaced the regime has been catastrophic. We saw the rise of Hayat Tahrir al-Sham HTS.
And they didn't waste any time.
No, the legal shift was almost immediate, wasn't it? The notes mentioned that new constitution in March 2025.
Yes, March 25.
They established Islamic jurisprudence as the primary source of legislation. And you have to remember, the Kurdish regions in the north had operated with a fair amount of secularism and religious freedom. All of that is gone.
The open doors stats here they're terrifying. Syria jumped from number 18 on the World Watch List in 2025 all the way to number 6 in 2026.
Wow.
That's a massive deterioration in just 12 months.
That kind of jump is rare. It usually signifies a systemic collapse of safety. It means the institutions that used to offer some kind of buffer, they're just gone.
And we saw that with the Mar-a-Lago's church bombing, June 2025.
22 people killed. That was a signal.
It was a message that the, quote, protection was over.
It was a message.
Yeah.
And it's not just violence, it's the administrative erasure. Look at the data on schools. In 2025 alone, 14 Christian schools were forced to close. They are removing the Christian presence from the entire education system.
It's such a dark picture. You have a stateless people, the Kurds, caught in this chaos, and now the religious vice is tightening. Is there any infrastructure for the gospel left there at all?
There is a tool, but it's kind of sitting in the shed, so to speak. There was a complete Northern Kurdish Bible. It was actually finished way back in 2008.
2008. So why is the engagement so low? I mean, the notes say only 0.1% of the population has been reached. That's almost 20 years.
Distribution.
Yeah.
It's the classic last mile problem, but in a war zone.
Right.
You have the text, but how do you get it into the hands of a stateless people living under a regime that just codified Islamic law? That is the bottleneck.
So our prayer for the northern Kurds is John 8.2, I am the light of the world. We're praying for that light to somehow bypass the HTS blockades.
We're praying for the Bible to find its way through the cracks, because once it's in their hands, the Spirit does the work.
Okay, we've done the stronghold in Jordan, the crisis in Syria. Now let's pivot to the third group. And looking at the map, this feels like a typo at first glance. We're going to Canada.
It's not a typo. It's a strategy. I mean, if you want to reach the Muslim world in 2026, you can go to the Middle East or you can go to Greater Toronto area.
The numbers here are just staggering. I knew immigration was high, but this growth curve it's vertical.
It is. In 2001, Canada had about 579,000 Muslims. By the 2021 census, 1.78 million. And now in 2026, estimates put it close to 2 million. That's almost 5% of the total population. Islam is firmly the second largest religion in the country.
But the real insight here isn't just the raw number. It's the origin of the people. Why does that matter so much?
This is the critical point. 69% of Canadian Muslims were born outside of Canada. And look at the source countries: Pakistan, Iran, Syria, Afghanistan.
Countries that are essentially closed doors to traditional missionaries.
Exactly. You can't easily get a missionary visa for Tehran or Kabul right now. But God, in his sovereignty, has moved people from those closed nations into a nation with complete religious freedom.
It really brings Acts 17 to mind. He determines their appointed times and the boundaries of their lands.
So that they would seek him. That's the verse for this section. It frames migration not as a political issue, but as a divine setup.
Right.
God moves boundaries so that people might grope for him and find him.
So practically, what does this look like for the Canadian church? Because we hear about outreach, but during Ramadan, is it different?
It is. There's an organization, Loving Muslims Together, and they point out a very specific pain point during this month: Loneliness.
Loneliness.
Yeah. Ramadan is traditionally a massive communal event. Big families, street festivals, the iftar meal at sunset.
And if you're a recent immigrant in Vancouver or maybe a student in Montreal,
You might be breaking your fast alone in a basement apartment. There's no call to prayer on the loudspeakers. It's isolating.
so the strategy is hospitality.
Aggressive, loving hospitality. Inviting a Muslim neighbor or coworker for an iftar meal. You don't have to preach a sermon. You just open your table. It bridges that us and them gap faster than any theological debate.
I like that. It turns the crisis of immigration into the opportunity of just being a neighbor.
And it's something any believer can do. You don't need a seminary degree to cook a meal or, order takeout.
Okay, so we have the landscape. We know the who Jordan, Syria, Canada. We know the when Ramadan. So let's structure the how. The Missions Connect app breaks this down day by day.
Yeah.
Walk us through the battle plan for the week.
Okay, so get your mental calendars out. Here's the rhythm we need to hit.
Monday, February 16th, the eve of Ramadan.
We start with Jordan. Since the visible church is blocked, we're praying for supernatural encounters. We are asking God to speak to Jordanian Arabs through dreams and visions. It sounds mystical, but in the Muslim world, it's a primary way people come to faith. We're asking God to bypass all the human barriers.
Tuesday, February 17th, day one of the fast.
We shift to the crisis zone, the northern Kurds. As they start fasting in this chaotic post-regime situation, we're praying for revelation, that in their distress they cry out to the true God and that the light of the world breaks into their darkness.
Wednesday, February 18th.
This is a heavy prayer day. We're standing with the secret believers, that's 6,500 in Jordan, the scattered few in Syria. We're praying a shield of protection around them, specifically against honor killings. We are praying that their families' eyes are blinded to their faith until the right moment.
Thursday, February 19th.
We bring it to the diaspora. We pray for the Canadian church to wake up. We pray against the spirit of fear that so often stops Christians from engaging with Muslims. We are praying for strategic hospitality. The tables just open up all over Toronto, Vancouver, and Montreal.
Friday, February 20th, the Muslim Holy Day.
Fridays are always high intensity, so we're praying against the restrictions. We're praying against those bureaucratic walls in Jordan that are stopping church approvals. We're praying against the closure of Christian schools in Syria. We're asking God to keep institutional doors open.
Saturday, the 21st.
We look at the workforce. The stats say we need about 174 more pioneer workers in Jordan alone. So Saturday is Lord of the Harvest prayer. We're asking for laborers who are willing to go into these high-pressure zones.
And Sunday, February 22nd.
Sunday is the mirror. We look at ourselves, we reflect on the Great Commission, and we ask, what is my part? Is it giving? Is it going? Is it just faithful intercession? It's a day to commit to being part of the answer to our own prayers.
It's a real challenge. And the ask from the app is so simple, just 12 minutes.
That's it. 4 minutes for Jordan, 4 for Syria, 4 for Canada. 12 minutes of focused intercession can absolutely shift the spiritual atmosphere.
Before we sign off, I just want to circle back to something you said at the very beginning, the hunger.
Yeah.
We've talked about stats and politics and demographics, but at the end of the day, we are talking about 1.9 billion hungry people.
I keep thinking of Isaiah 55. Why spend money on what is not bread and your labor on what does not satisfy? This week, billions of prayers will be recited. Billions of hours of fasting will be observed. It is a massive amount of human labor.
All of it striving for connection.
Striving.
Yeah.
But without the bread of life, that labor, it doesn't satisfy the soul. It leaves you hungry again the next day. Our prayer, our warfare this week is simply that they would taste and see that the Lord is good, that they would find the rest that their fasting just can't buy them.
That's the heart of it. We aren't praying against people. We're praying for their satisfaction in Christ.
Exactly.
All right, you have your marching orders. Monday is the start line. If you haven't set up the daily notifications yet, go to assistingtoobey.com and download the web-based app. It has all the specific bullet points, the scriptures we mentioned, right there in your pocket.
It really helps to have it right in front of you when you pray.
Assistingtoobey.com. Go get it set up. And to our premium subscribers, thank you. Your support is what digs up this research so we can all pray with our eyes open.
Let's make this Ramadan a time of breakthrough.
We'll see you next week for another deep dive. Until then, remember our mission, blessing the nations through prayer, knowledge, and obedience.
Goodbye, everyone.
So, you want a faith that actually matters, right? You want to make a difference in the world, to see the gospel changing lives, To know that your walk with God and His Word is impacting more than just your own life. Yeah, you want your life to count for the nations. But here's the thing. You're busy, maybe overwhelmed. You're pulled in 20 different directions. And even though you want to engage in missions and the Great Commission, you don't always know what to pray for, what's happening globally, or what your next step should be. The desire to obey is there, but the pathway isn't always clear. Let the Missions Connect app show you the way. Every day, you'll get a missions-focused devotional with a simple, practical action step and an option to share with the Missions Connect community. Every week, you get 3 strategic prayer focuses with fresh daily text and audio prayers, so you're never guessing about what to pray for. And when you're ready, you'll find opportunities to actually get involved in God's global work. Everything in the devotional and prayer section is free forever, but we offer you the opportunity to try the premium version for 15 days. You want to impact the nations with the gospel? With Missions Connect, now you can. Missions Connect, helping you bless the nations through prayer, knowledge, and obedience. A ministry of assisting2obey.com.